Hi everybody, I'm Hector Garcia, CPA, and I've been using QuickBooks Online for a very long time. Specifically, QuickBooks Online Accountant Edition, which is a version of QuickBooks Online that is designed specifically for those accounting professionals, CPAs, bookkeepers, tax preparers, that interact with their clients' books that maybe their client pays QuickBooks by themselves, or maybe the accountant choose to pay for their clients' QuickBooks and then maybe charge their clients through their monthly services or whatever. Anyway, traditionally we've had this interface called QuickBooks Online Accountant. It has a big QuickBooks logo and the word accountant here on the top left. But they have recently changed the name of this, and actually they're calling it a platform change to Intuit Accountant Suite. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what the change is, what it includes, what the add-ons are, the dates, the changes, all that stuff is going to be covered in this video. So if your QuickBooks Online still looks like this, you might want to click on the gear menu on the top right of the screen and then go down to where it says Try Intuit Accountant Suite. At some point this year, either this year or by the beginning of next year, you won't even have that option. Everybody will be automatically transferred into the new Intuit Accountant Suite. Now, by default, you're going to be changed to Intuit Accountant Suite Core. Now, Intuit Accountant Suite Core is the free version of QuickBooks Online Accountant. So basically, it's the same thing as QuickBooks Online Accountant, but now has a new name. They're calling it a new platform, but it's just really a new name. And inside the new name and the new platform, so to speak, they're going to have some additional features as well that we're going to cover. And there's also a $150 a month version called Intuit Accountant Suite Accelerate that has a whole bunch of additional features as well, which we're going to discuss as well. So I'm going to start by just switching to Core. It's free. There's no charge. There's no credit card. You're just going to switch over. And then the minute you switch over to Intuit Accountant Suite, you will no longer see the old QuickBooks Accountant logo on the top left. You're going to see a brand new logo and it's just going to look different. So let me click here and get started. And then I'm just going to keep clicking next through the setup process. And when that's done, the main thing you're going to see here on the left-hand side is now going to say Intuit Accountant Suite. You will no longer see a QuickBooks logo and the word accountant. By itself, it's just going to look different. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we get a little bit better visuals. And then start walking you through what this new platform looks like and what the new things are. So first of all, we still have the client switcher. So when you click here, you can switch to any of your active clients that you have in there. So you can still switch from one client to the other. Right now, I'm logged in under my firm. So I'm inside my firm's books. And generally, the way I know I'm inside my firm's books is because I have this work tab up here. That work tab is only available for firms. And then it says the word clients and not the word customers. And then it has team here. So all these three things are pinned in the top are indicatives that you are in your firm's books, not inside of a particular client. Now, if you switch over to log in a particular client, you can use the client switcher and you click on that particular client, you will see that the top bar in the top changes in color slightly. So it goes from that sort of teal blue to now a gray bar. So when you're in the gray bar, you are logged in inside of a client's books. But the way you know you're still logged in as an accountant is because you have this client switcher up here. So if you were logged in using a regular user ID and password that accesses the books without being an accountant, you wouldn't see a client switcher up here. And you also wouldn't see this briefcase that says My Menu. Now, My Menu here, this is where all the accountant tools live in. Okay, so we used to have in the old QuickBooks Online Accountant, there used to be a logo up here next to the client name with a little briefcase where you access all the accountant tools. Now they're there under My Menu. So when I click on My Menu and I go down all the way to where it says Tools, I see all the accountant tools like write-off, reports options, reclassify transactions, notes, client requests, close books, etc., etc. Now, if I click on this little sort of customize edit button there next to My Menu, I can actually choose in the order in which I want to see these. So if I want to see tools all the way in the top, I simply just click and drag this one to the top. Now, inside each one, bookmarks, create, and tools, I get to also choose what kind of tools I want to see in there, and I could also change the order. So if I want a new window to be first, close books to be second, and reclassify transactions to be third, I simply just rearrange the order there. Now under create, you have the ability to quickly create new transactions, which essentially is the same thing as this create button. So this create button, which is available across all of QuickBooks Online, gives you access to all the transactions you can create, right? There's about 20 or 30 things in there. But under my menu and under create, so you can have your own like sort of most popular top shortcuts, right? So that way you do essentially a little bit less clicks. It's really not less clicks because you still have to go to my menu and then click on journal entry versus going to create and then journal entry. So maybe it saves you a little bit of, you know, shifting the mouse over to that side. Now also the font size on the create button is different than the font size and even the font specifically in the my menu button. So you gotta keep in mind those are tiny little nuances. So if you actually click on the my menu button, it makes the menu fixed. So if I click on it, it hides it, but still I can still hover over it by putting my mouse on it. So you have both options to click on it once, keep it fixed, or you can collapse it or click on it to make it fix, collapse, or expand. Generally, I probably want to have it completely open, right? So bookmarks is for you to create your own bookmarks. So for example, let's say I am going to navigate over to my estimates screen. Okay, so this is my estimate screens. It took a couple of clicks to get there. So I can actually click on bookmarks and then click on bookmark the current page. And by doing that, I now create a direct access to estimates. So for example, let's say I just logged in, I'm in the home page. I don't have to go into all apps, customer hub, and then estimates. I can simply go to my menu and then under bookmarks, I see estimates up there. And then once again, if I click on the settings button, I can go to bookmark and then I can pick which of these are going to be whichever order I want to have my bookmarks in, right? So whatever type of bookmarks I want to have, I can search them from here. So I can go to reports, for example, and then I can select them and add them in there and delete that, and I can pick and choose what bookmarks I want or manually create the bookmarks by clicking on bookmarks. So that's kind of the option that you have in there where you can add those bookmarks, remove them, change the order, all of that stuff. And then of course the new interface has this new feed button where everything that has to do with AI, this whole Intuit AI, things that could get done automatically or detecting things that are a potential alert for you to do something, that's all going to show here on their business feed. So it's basically one place for all AI related features. Lastly, the old menu is here in all apps. So if I click on that, I get to see what used to be the old menu that I'm used to. So I kind of have to click on all apps in order to enable this menu that contains pretty much access to everything inside QuickBooks. So everything is sort of tucked in there under all apps. However, under pinned, you can also add some of your favorites. So if you click right there where it says customize, I can actually choose which are my top pinned apps, so to speak. So I can get rid of all of them. And let's say, for example, that time is one of my favorite or pinned apps or areas that I go into. And let's say project management is the other one. And I put in there. And the last one is inventory. Click and drag and put up there. So by moving these top three here and click on save, I now see them under pinned. So anything that's pinned, and I can zoom out a little bit my screen, anything under pinned is going to show up here. Again, these three things are also available under all apps. So QuickBooks just reshuffled the menu system. So it's either under all apps or accessible through these pinned icons. So let me zoom in and we'll work from here. Okay, so that's kind of what to expect as you change to the new platform, so to speak, from QuickBooks Online Accountant to Intuit Accountant Suite. Now I'm going to click on the QuickBooks logo here to go back into my firm. And on the firm, I can go to clients, and then I have my entire client list in there and my client invitations, and then I have my team members, so I can manage my team members. So anything that's related to people working inside my firm, my clients, that's all available there. Access to my pro advisor, so if I want to see my pro advisor training, access to all the training, to getting certified, the benefits, that's all available here because I'm logged in as my firm. So basically these first four, client, team, actually the first three, client, team, and pro advisor, these three are connected to my practice, so to speak. And then everything under that, so accounting and down, that's all my own firm's books. So it's integrated in there. On the top where it says service delivery, you're gonna see three things here. You're gonna see work. This is for creating tasks, and there's also a new updated version of this that's called here. You click here, it says try new experience, and then you can see the new. It's called projects, but the name's a little bit confusing. It's really just work, not projects, because there's a different area in QuickBooks called projects, so that's a little bit confusing. But here's where you can create a project, and you can pick a template, and you can you give it a description, pick which name, I mean this, which client this is connected to, and which team member you want to assign the work to, and then you click on save, and then inside of these on Alex's accountant, he'll be able to now see a new set of tasks that we created here. We can add a description to whatever we want. So it's a really simple task manager that's built into this, and it's all part of the the free version, the Intuit Accountant Suite core. Now, there are two optional add-ons you can add on to this. These are additional money you have to pay into it, right? As an accounting firm, you will pay into it extra for this. One is Client Insights, which requires you to upgrade to the Intuit Accountant Suite Accelerate. This is the one that costs $150 a month for the firm. So the firm pays $150 a month. Doesn't matter how many clients you have, doesn't matter how many team members you have, as long as that client is assigned to your firm and the team member is assigned to your firm, they will have access to this new feature called Client Insights, which I'm actually going to walk you through how that works. And then we have Books Close, which is going to be a additional per client fee. So it's either $8 a month per client if you have 50 or less clients, or $6 a month per client if you have more than 50 clients that you add to this. So again, you would pay this additional fee per client. Okay. Client Insights is not per client. It's one flat fee of $149 a month for the whole firm for all your clients. So I'm actually going to log into another firm that has a bunch of clients in it so I can showcase how both of these features work. I'm going to click on the gear menu and click on subscriptions and billing, and then show you under billing details. This is for your firm's subscriptions or for whatever your firm pays for. Here's where you get to choose whether you're going to be an Intuit Accountant Suite Accelerate or you're going to be downgraded into the Intuit Accountant Suite Core. Again, once again, Intuit Accountant Suite Core is free, no credit card required. Every accountant gets access to that. Your QuickBooks Online Accountant just becomes Intuit Accountant Suite Core. And Intuit Accountant Accelerate, it's going to be $149 per month per firm. Doesn't matter how many clients you have, and that starts May 1st, right? So it's currently they are recording this video. It's under beta, so I'm not paying anything for that feature. But starting May 1st, you're going to start seeing $149 a month fee for the Accelerate. Now, what comes in Accelerate? Let's take a look at that. There's this thing called Insights. So when you click there on Insights, basically is a bird's eye view, a dashboard of all your clients all at once with certain KPIs and certain financial indicators, so you can manage your work on a high level, on a bird's eye view. You can either use one of the templates, balance sheet data, P&L data, or bookkeeping data. When you click on any of those, any of your clients that you have added to that you have in your firm's book will show up in there on the client. Again, you do have to add the clients in there in your firm's books in order to have that. And again, Client Insights, that comes with the Accelerate program, which is $149 a month, one fee per firm across, doesn't matter how many clients you have. So if I click on any of those and click on open, I'm now going to see a bird's eye view, a dashboard of all of my clients and all of these high level indicators. Now I get to pick the date range. So let me pick last year. So we have more data to compare with. And then you get to see all your clients here, all your clients list. You can see their revenue, okay? And this is a comparison, right? So we have, revenue, and then we have a comparison with the previous period. So this company here called Greenery did $1.5 million in revenue last year, which is 349% higher than the previous year. And this customer here called Hector Garcia Corporation did $71,000 in revenue, which is 70% less than the previous year. Same thing with transaction count. Same thing with total bank balances. So you get to really, really see, how these things are moving and shifting from period to period. Now, this is last year. So if I were to pick last month instead of last year, then the analysis would be always a previous period. So this is a way, again, a bird's eye view for you to analyze all your clients all at once. The other cool thing here is, as here product, you can pick and choose based on what your client has, which of the clients are going to be seen, or based on a custom field. So if you have a particular custom field, so if your clients are grouped by industry or something like that with custom fields, you can group them by that, and you can see a lot less information. You can also click on filters here, and then you can do both the custom field and the product and the lead accountant on the file. So you have multiple filters you can run all at once, or you can search by a particular client. Let's say I'm looking just for rock castle, and I click on search, and only rock castle shows up, right? So you can do client filter, you can do based on product, you can do based on custom field, all sorts of filters you can use here. Now here it says customize. Here's where you can pick and choose which of these KPIs, high level measurements, you want to see here. So if you don't want to see revenue, but you want, or expenses, and you want to see gross profit, then you can just focus on gross profit. If you don't want to see transaction count or total bank balance, and you want to see whatever they have in undeposited funds, or you want to see whatever they have in on categorized expenses, and maybe AR balances or AP balances, whatever it is, you can X out of that, and you can analyze all these clients at all these levels. Let's do last year here. We got a little bit more information. So you get to do a high level analysis for all your clients all in one shot. Again, this is the additional feature that you get with this $150 a month add-on. So $150 a month for your entire firm. So you get to decide. And by the way, I'm recording this at the very end of January, and you have until May 1st to make a decision if you're going to pay the $150 a month to get this. But you can test it. You get to decide if this is worth the $150 a month. Like, is it worth it seeing a dashboard of all my clients and all of these things here? Now I'm going to go back to Insights Overview, and I'm going to pick bookkeeping data. So we're going to pick a different template so you can see a sort of a different flavor of this. So now you see different things. You see, how many bank accounts are disconnected, or how many apps are reporting issues, or other areas here. So these templates, again, you can pick and choose from all the options that are here, but the templates kind of preset this up for you. You can sort by client in this case, right? You can sort by descending, ascending. You can sort by any of these issues, right? Descending. And you have all sorts of customization options in what you want to see here. So that's client insights. And one of the things you're going to start seeing very soon is anomaly detection. So inside this screen, if the QuickBooks AI analyzes the books and tells you, hey, you got to look at this particular area or that particular area, that's all going to be built into here. Now you can also click on these numbers. And if you click on these numbers, you get this pop-up that shows you a graph. So you can do kind of an in-depth analysis. They're not all clickable. So you have to kind of play around and see which of these are clickable. Most of the stuff that's P&L related is clickable, like gross profit and that sort of thing. But accounts receivable, accounts payable, that might not be as clickable just because it's a little bit more complex to measure something like that. So you might want to kind of see what options are there. And these little stars here, these little gems, the sparkles, that's the anomaly detection. So you're going to see there that the AI detected that there's one very specific thing that seems to be what jumps out. So it looks like a particular subcontractor, the expenses went up, and that's the anomaly, right? So it looks like for a very long time it was a fixed amount, and all of a sudden it jumped, right? That's kind of what the anomaly detection is taking a look at things that potentially jump at you that you otherwise weren't expecting. Again, this uses mathematical equations in artificial intelligence to point out what are potential anomalies, and that could give you a way to go straight into analyzing that specific client. Now here it says go to client reports. When you click on that, what it does is it logs into the client file, and it goes straight into the reports page, right? Because that's the typical workflow that you're going to do is like, I'm going to go straight into the reports page so that I can analyze those clients' books at a more in-depth level. I'm gonna go back into my firm's books one more time, and we're gonna talk about books close now. So books close is this other add-on feature that's I can access through here. I can just click on books close, or here it says all apps. I can go to books close, and again, this is the one that's $8 per client that you choose to add. So it's not like, you know, every single client that you have will be added automatically. No, it's every client that you add in here will be $8 a month until you remove it. So if you're no longer using this feature, if this is no longer useful for you, then you just remove the client from the client's books, and then you don't need them anymore, right? But once you have them in there, you can follow the books close workflow. Now, how does the books close workflow work? So if we have a new client that I'm bringing in, I'm going to click on onboard close client. I'm going to pick a client from the client list, whatever the client is. And then I'm going to pick a template. I'm going to go back to templates in a second, but I'm going to pick a template. And based on the template, it's going to create a set of tasks for that client. And I get to choose which period we're going to start with. So this goes by monthly periods. Now I could also add up to 3 members here, saying, okay, I got these three members here are going to be working on my books. Now they do need to have access to the books, right? So if they don't have access to it, you'll get an error saying, okay, look, this particular person doesn't have access to those clients' books. So I have to go back and make sure that I add that client to that firm member, that team member, if I want to add them into there, right? So I can choose those 3, and it would be these levels: prepare, reviewer, and approver. Now I'm going to cancel for a second, and I'm going to start this over because I don't have to use that, and you don't have to have a different reviewer or approver. If you're not going to use that flow, just use the same person for both. Now I want to go back for a second and talk about setting up the templates. So up here at the top right, it says books close settings. And then inside books close settings, you create your templates are really important, right? Because you might have a bunch of clients that are quarterly or a bunch of clients that are monthly. You may have just different types of clients that you will use. There's a default template that you can click on make copy, and you can basically create your own template. So let's call this monthly close first week. So let's say, for example, I have a client or a group of clients that I get them all done the first week of the month, right? And then I have another one the second week, other one the third week, or something like that. It's kind of a good starting point. Now it creates pre-built templates for you. So make sure all transactions in the bank feeds are coded. That's a built-in task, right? Gather all relevant documents. That's a built-in task. I can click on one more task, and I can say, make sure all pending items have attachments or something like that, right? So then you add this task and you assign it to either the preparer, the reviewer, or the approver. In this particular case, we use the same person for all 3 of them, and then we click on save. So you create your own custom tasks. There are built-in tasks, but you create your own tasks. And then here under account reconciliation, that's going to be different in every client, so you don't touch it right here at this moment. But later on, you're going to have all your accounts listed in there. Then you have what's called transaction review. These are all the anomalies or areas that typically accountants and monthly bookkeepers go in there and change. So I want to check on categorized transactions, transactions without payees, et cetera, et cetera. They're all pre-added for you. Unfortunately, you can't like turn them off at this point. You just pretty much ask. You can pretty much assign a preparer to it, but you can remove them from the list completely. So you can click on add remove. I can just remove a couple of things. Let's say I don't do any of these things for whatever reason, right? For this particular group of clients, I don't do those. You remove them from the list, right? So you can't have them there turned off or on. You just remove them from the list, and then you're not going to deal with them ever again unless you go back and add them. And there's a couple extra ones that they keep adding. They're going to be adding new things all the time, like payee entity review, and then final review for the reports. These can be edited, so they're just there by default. You just get to pick who they're assigned to. And then there's another open area where you can add your own tasks. So I can go to add task, and we can go schedule Zoom meeting with client for preliminary review, right? Whatever it is, you create your own task in here. We can put it here for the reviewer. Click on save, and then we put that in there, right? And then the sending financials, that's usually the last piece of the books close, and that's fixed in there. We can't change it, we can't edit. So then we click on set save or save and add as a default, and now that becomes the template. So when I'm going to go back for a second. So when I go back and I go onboard a new client, I just go to onboard client and I pick whatever the client is, and then I choose which template they fall into. And then based on the template, the tasks get created. Now, most accounting firms don't need multiple templates. They can just use the one built-in template that's there, the one that's called Books Close. That's the one that comes by default. Or you can, of course, create a new template and then go through the process of building the template again. So that's kind of what the process looks like. So that's a really important piece. You're setting up what it looks like to have a template for a workflow for a particular set of clients. Now, once the workflow is created, and now you want to start doing the work inside of a particular client, there's not that many options here on the actions. There's open, there's create, close, and there's go to QuickBooks. Going to QuickBooks is just going into the client's books like normal. We're going to click on open. And then once we click on open, basically the same template that we looked at now is laid out as tasks. And then in here, I can actually give specific due dates to every one of these things, right? So I can pick any specific due dates to any of these things, and if the due dates are after the fixed due date of the project, then you're going to get an error. So you have to change the entire due date of the project to something in the future if you don't want to get errors in this individual due dates for the specific tasks, right? So that's a really important piece. When you're changing the due dates of the individual tasks, they have to be within the overall due date of the client itself. Then you can choose which of your team members get access to that. Remember, at the very beginning, you get to choose who's the reviewer, who's the approver, all that stuff. So it would be only within that universe of options that you have in there. And then you can also change the status, so you can call it in progress, or you can call it completed. So you go through that process on each one. You can edit any one of them if you need to change anything that's in here, or you can also delete the task altogether. Then you get a list of all your banks. So we have a dashboard for all my banks. We get to see when the accounts are reconciled, what the ending balance for each is, the due date for reconciling that one. So we can see like we're behind reconciling a couple of these accounts. We can again choose who gets assigned that and where each of these tasks are. Okay, so whatever task, whatever status the task each has, you do that. That way it updates that. Okay, now you can also, inside any of these, you can click on view and reconcile, and it opens up sort of a mini window for you to be able to reconcile that bank without you having to go inside of the client's book. So that's the real innovative piece in this, is that I don't have to get out of Intuit Accountant Suite to then go into the client and then reconcile. I can do my reconciliation from here, complete the reconciliation, right? Whether I save for later or complete it. And then once I'm out of this, I'm back into my books close. So I don't have to log out of books close, go into the client and reconcile from there. I can do it all from here. Now in this little drop-down menu, I can click on go to QuickBooks, and then I can go inside QuickBooks if I need to create a new transaction or delete a transaction. That you cannot do from here. Here you can only reconcile. So that's just only assuming that everything's going to go really well during the reconciliation process, and I don't have to edit, delete, or modify any transactions, but you have the option to do it from here. So once you're done doing all the reconciliations, and again, you have an add remove button where you can pick which accounts you want to see and don't want to see, right? So if there's some old accounts that no longer need reconciliation, you just remove them from this list. And again, it doesn't delete them from the chart of accounts. It just removes them from your list inside Books Close, so you no longer have it as something that you need to finish or complete. Now down here we have transaction review. These are all the tasks that get teed up for you based on each of these categories. So if anything is sitting on categorized transactions, then they will show up in here. If anything is showing here as a transaction without a payee, then it will show here. And then from here, you can view the transaction or edit the transaction. If it needs to be edited, you can go directly inside the books, directly inside that transaction, and you can fix whatever it needs to be fixed. So for example, let's say I need to put a vendor or a payee in here, and then I can click save, X out, and then I can go back into books close after I get out of actually modifying the transaction, and then go down to my transactions to be reviewed, and that transaction is no longer missing a payee, right? Then we have other things here like transactions greater than $2,500. So, right, so this is one of the anomalies that gets created, or one of the alerts that get created. I can change the threshold. I can say, you know what? I only want you to look at transactions that are over $500, or only over 3,000, or only over 10,000, whatever it is. You get to pick whatever the threshold is, and then it points the transactions out just in case potentially they are categorized incorrectly, right? So this is supposed to be a fixed asset, right, of some sort, a furniture, a fixture, or whatever. I can actually change it from here. I don't have to go into QuickBooks, change it from there, and then I finish reviewing the other two. Let's say the other two are fine. I can just click on, check on these status, and it removes them from my to-do list. Now, it doesn't remove the transactions, it doesn't delete them. It removes them from this transaction review screen. We have expenses and bills without attachments. So we see all these things are missing attachments. So from here is really cool. I can add attachments from here. So I can just select any of these documents I have in my computer, and I can add the attachments. And as I add the attachments, they go away from this checklist. Or let's say, for example, I don't need the attachments for these. I don't have to worry about attachments. Just click on the little checkbox and get rid of them, so I no longer have to worry about it for this particular period. Now, this does it all automatically for the period. So, for example, transactions within a class or location, only the closing period, so the period I'm finishing now. And then from here on the fly, I can pick if they're missing a class. I can change whatever class it needs to be changed. I can do it all here on the fly, so that way I don't have to go inside the transaction to do that. Here where it says edit exclusions, all of them have that option. I can exclude particular transaction types. Let's say I don't want to see journal entries or bills or whatever. So I can say, you know what, don't show me bills, or don't show me journal entries, and then click on save. And now it's going to show a lot less transactions. So you go through all of these here, all of these to-dos, and then you just want to make sure that everything is entered correctly. I guess the point of this is supposed to aid you partially through these rules, right? The exclusions, the dollar amounts, this preset rules that Intuit created for you, and partially AI detects some of these things. There's more new things coming, like new vendors, new customers, newly created accounts. All these things are going to be coming soon. So I'm really interested to see what all that stuff means at the end of the day. For example, for 1099 season, which is about to finish, you get a list of all the vendors, and are these potentially 1099? The AI is going to detect and check for you and suggest, this one could be a 1099, this one could not be a 1099. That way you're getting prepared for it. And then lastly, we have the final review, which is reviewing the document. So I can click on review, and then I can see the P&L from here, which is great. I can't print it or anything like that. I would have to click on go to report, which will log into the particular client to then go into reports. But you can quickly, at a high level, review your reports here. You can do it by quarterly, by year, whatever date range is, and you can do your analysis here, so you can kind of see and detect whatever potential issues can be. Now you can't drill down on these. If you want to drill down, you actually have to go into go to report. I assume that at some point they'll realize that these things should be clickable, and when you click on them, you probably will see another screen with the drill down details, or it will log into QuickBooks automatically for that. So then after you're done reviewing all these, right, you have to complete all of these tasks. And then after these tasks are completed, all of them, everything on this list, after you complete everything, it will completely finish the close, so to speak. All of these things, again, once I click completed in all of them, automatically appear under status. This will change from to do to completed, and you will automatically mark everything inside here completed. You will complete the close for this month, and the idea is that it guided you to the process. Okay, then when you go back to the books close, you should now see that October 2025 has been completely completed, and then you will start a new close for the next month. So you go to create close. I pick my client, go to save and start close, and it will create for the following month. You can pick which month you want to do, and then you start doing your books close for that month. So that's the idea. That's the concept behind all of these different options that you have to either use your QuickBooks Online Accountant with the core features Intuit Accountant Suite core, or either choose to upgrade to that gives you client insights for $150 a month, or whether or not you go to Accelerate, you get to choose by client if you want to pay an extra $8 a month for the books close. One quick note I want to add is here in the gear menu and under company settings, there is a feature that allows you to close your books, so to speak, which is actually a locking mechanism to password protect the books so they can't make any changes afterwards. Essentially, you click on Advanced, then you click right here where it says Close the Books, and then you click on this little checkbox to close the books, and then you choose whatever the closing date of the books is, and then you can password protect the books with whatever password you want, and that will lock the book, so to speak, so people cannot make changes. Now, even though this is called Close the Books, this is an entirely different thing than the books close feature that I am showcasing. As a matter of fact, this specific feature to close the books will exist in your QuickBooks Online, whether you're an accountant or not, or whether you have the books close feature or not. So you just want to make sure that there's no confusion that this specific feature has nothing to do with the books close add-on that's in Intuit Accountant Suite. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it clarified exactly what's coming down the pike, and I'll see you in the next one.